Hello, 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 and welcome back to Tea with the Queens. I'm so excited for you to be here today where we talk about transforming our lives, empowering our lives, and acquiring the skills that we have gained to enhance our lives. But today I have an amazing, amazing guest, Dr. Theresa Moseley. Her excellence. I am so thrilled to have her here, and I am so excited to hear what she has to share with us. She has so many different nuggets that I know that she can drop on us. Has an extensive background. When I say that she's amazing, and she just had a book launch, and she's going to share that information with us as well. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring up Dr. Theresa Moseley.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for being here, Dr. Moseley.
I'm so
I'm
happy
so
to be with you today.
Thank you so much. I say this, you have been a pillar in the community, and I've read your bio, and I've seen all the many things that you've done and all the many things that you are doing. And I can say that it is so impressive. And I am so honored to even be in your presence right now, even though it's an interview. I really am. And I would love for you to just share with us a little bit about who Dr. Moseley is.
I thank you so much for those kind words. I'm just a little country girl from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I joined the Army right after high school. My guidance counselor was so upset with me. She says, "You have a 3.95 grade point average and you're joining the Army." I said, "I'm a dad girl. My dad was in the Army 27 years." So I wanted to, the logo was, "Be all you can be." That was the slogan back in 1976. And that was the first time I experienced a leadership role. And so what I learned in life is everything that you do in life is a lesson. It's a lesson to be shared with somebody else. So after the military, I went to college. I got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD, ended up being a school administrator. And that's when my life changed. I woke up one morning and I said, I'm happy, but I'm not fulfilled. And then I lost two students to violence. One kid was shot to death and one kid was beat to death in a park and stabbed. And I said, "God, what can I do? I mean, I really need to make sure that my students are okay." So I started the campaign for no more violence, one school, one community, one county at a time. And that still wasn't enough. So I went to a master's class, and there the instructor said the Mark Twain quote: "There are 2 days that are important: the day you were born and the day you find out why." And that day, I said out loud that my gift is my voice in speaking and writing. My passion, let me see, I was a Girl Scout serving others. I was in the church choir serving my community. I was in the Army serving my country. I was a school administrator serving my students. My passion is serving others. But my purpose is to make this world a more peaceful place. So everything that I do it in the name of inner peace and world peace. I went from having 3 books to 19 books. I went from speaking locally to internationally. I went from being just a leader to a transformational leader, leading schools and organizations on how to have a more peaceful climate. That's just a little bit about who I am. They call me the peacemaker, a United Nations WALME Peace Ambassador, United States Army veteran, retired educator after 28 years of service, and an award-winning educator at that.
And I see all of that in you. And when you were speaking, it exuded out. I mean, it was just oozing out. And I want to encourage someone who's looking at the podcast or even listening to this podcast that you will realize that being born is a blessing, but knowing why you were born is the epitome of life. And when you said that, that just woke up something in me because a lot of times people don't even have hope. They're born, different things happen in their lives, and they're just thrown. It's just thrown away. I just can't do this. I can't make it. But when you understand your purpose,
Yes.
everything turns around. Everything looks so much brighter. I mean, that is amazing. So, being a peace ambassador, when did that happen, or how did you come about with the title peace ambassador? What does that mean in your life?
I was in Paris, France in 2022 giving a speech on Women Empowerment Month, and I met a lady there from New York, and she said, I'm a United Nations Peace Ambassador, and I understand they call you the peacemaker. We need to make you a real peace ambassador. And screw my head, a year later, I met her again at a WIN conference in New York City, and she heard my speech, and she says, "You're Dr. Theresa Moseley? Let me introduce you to WOMI." And so she nominated me to be United Nations Peace Ambassador. I had to go through some extensive training for 2 days, and after that, I went to a ceremony in Orlando, and I was an official WOMI United Nations Peace Ambassador. I went to training in Geneva, Switzerland last year. I'm going again to Orlando this year for some more training and back to Geneva. And all the work we do is humanitarian work. I'm on an educational committee, so I help them with their strategies and activities as well. So that's how I became a WOMI United Nations Peace Ambassador.
That's amazing, and that is a learning lesson for me because I never knew how that happens. I've heard of peace ambassadors,
Mhm.
very few, but I've heard of them. But it's amazing to see what it takes to be called a peace ambassador. So
We
that's
actually we actually have a badge and an ID that says United Nations, and so we're kind of like diplomats. Yeah.
oh, okay. So look, it's for real, for real. The badge,
Yes.
that is a remarkable, and that's like I said, I've heard of peace ambassadors, but I never understood the magnitude of it. I never understood what it takes to be called a peace ambassador. But it is a prestigious, honor to be called that, especially in today's time.
Yes.
Things happened in the back in the day. Not to take anything away from that time, but today is a whole nother another beast. It's a whole nother beast. So having that and having the boldness to stand in that position, to have the boldness to stand in that place is amazing. And to being a veteran, I mean, not to stay in this vein, but just what was your experience like in the military? How did that fit into everything? Because
So I have
that's
to
a pinnacle place to be. That's the core of a lot of different things.
Yes, I've always been either a military dependent with my dad or an Army soldier or Army veterans. I've always been connected with the military. But when I was in first grade, when I saw my teacher lead her class, I was in the first grade, 6 years old, wondering what my purpose was and what would I lead one day. So when I joined the military, my very first day of basic training, I was placed in a leadership role. The drill sergeant came in and said, "Ladies, you're going to have to put together 40 wardrobes in about 8 hours, and I'll give you the rest of your gear." And he left us, and I said, "Ladies, we can get this done in less than 4 hours." I said, "Who's good with directions?" One lady, and remember now, I'm 18 years old, right out of high school. One lady says, "I can just look at the directions and tell you where everything goes." I said, "Okay, I need 3 more like her." Tall ladies, you're going to
Oh,
do the size of the wardrobe. Little girls like me, 5'3", we're going to do the nuts and the bolts. We had the 40 wardrobes done together, made together in less than 3.5 hours. Drill sergeant comes back and says, "Ladies," we said, "Yes, drill sergeant." So how'd you get this done so quick? And someone said, "Baby Moseley gave us roles and responsibilities based upon our strengths." And I stood up and I said, "No, drill sergeant, I can't take credit for something that the team did." So this actually was a divine assignment. This let me know that I do have leadership skills. Because see, when I was a only girl, so I was like a little princess. I never had to do anything. I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to clean. My mother did all of that. My 4 brothers, I did. I was like the straight A student. I didn't have any leadership roles in my house. Nobody was talking about my purpose back in the 60s and 70s, but I learned that in the military, right? I also traveled. I traveled to Sinop, Turkey. I traveled to the East Coast, to Fort Dix, New Jersey, Fort Worth, California. So I was able to mingle with a lot of different people from a lot of different countries and meet people. And so that helped me with my communication skills. Also, teamwork. In the military, you learn how to work together as a team. You never work in isolation. What my friend said, always have a wingman. You always have to have somebody there to support you. So I learned a lot of skills that I use now in my leadership role that I learned back in the military when I was just a teenager. So I had a lot of bumps in the way as well. That's a whole nother book in the military. Um, but I tell you that it was, for me overall, it was a pretty good experience. And for a young girl from North Carolina that wanted to see the world, this was the best thing for me. And also, I was in the time during the end of the Vietnam War era, so I got to go to college for free. So that was also another goal. If I join the military, I don't have to pay for college, and that worked out as well.
And that's amazing because, when I was in the military, what I remember in basic training was the different phases. When I was in the red phase is what stands out the most to me. That's when you really, really, really had to depend on your team. You
Yes.
really had to connect because if one person fall, everybody fall. If one person, was not on their assignment, we all weren't on our assignment. So we had to lift each other up, or we all were going to be in trouble, or we always going to be doing what they call the grass drills, or whatever the case may be. So I
Yeah.
learned a little bit myself about teamwork, but I was always a team player, even as a young girl. So I can relate to what you were saying about that. You
Mhm.
know, being a team player is very, very important, and being a team player also connects you to people in on your journey, and you never know what those people, what kind of impact they will have on your life, and where meeting those people will take you.
That's
So
right.
thank you for sharing that. The soldier. How long did you stay in?
I stayed in 5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
And you got to travel all those places.
Yeah. I was
Wow,
going to her every year.
that's a blessing. I mean, when I was in, I wanted to travel. I did more stateside, but I wanted to travel overseas, but that just didn't happen for me. And that's kind of why I went in. I wanted to see other places, but during that particular time, it was Desert Storm it was starting to kick up. So they needed to have some people stateside, and then they were going over there. So all of our travel plans that we had to go to Germany and Korea, they were condensed. They only sent a few. So some of us that were on the list, we couldn't go. So
Yeah, German was my second language growing up. I spoke fluent German from 2 to 5 years old. My best friend was a little German
that's
girl.
right, because
And
your
in
dad.
Germany. I often tell people I speak 4 languages. English, of course, hello, how are you? Spanish, hola, ¿cómo estás? French, Turkish, merhaba, nasılsınız? And French, bonjour, ¿cómo allez-vous? And I said, so there's nothing you can't say to me that I don't understand. I have a love for languages.
Wow, and that's so you're empowered. So you can't overtake me. You can't take advantage of me because 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna know what you're saying. Yeah, and you do not see that often. You do not see that often. So I pray that women, not just women, but men too, but women will really take a look and see what you've done and see the joy that you have in spite of things that might have happened along the way, the joy of being able to be in your groove, to be in that place that you worked hard to be in, and to be able to reap those benefits.
Millicent, you're right. And it wasn't easy. When I got out of the military, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a blueprint. And I was staying with roommates. And one time I came home, my roommate was gone. I went to Carolina, came back, and she took all my stuff. And I had no place to stay. So I can say I was actually homeless for 3 days. And I drove a city bus. I rode a city bus all day long. And this man, the bus driver, dropped me off at this mall in Orange County, California. And I'm a Christian, so I was praying, God, please help me get out of this situation. God, if you help me get out of the situation, if anybody is ever in need, I will help them. But I had no place to go, right? And so when I finished praying, I opened my eyes and I saw the Crystal Palace Cathedral, that was Robert Schull's cathedral in California. And I saw a club that I know had a Thursday's ladies' night for free. I saw the church and I saw the club. I went to the club. I said, oh my God. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke. I was drinking Pepsi, sipping at the bar, and this person saw me and said, young lady, come here. Because I had one tear coming down my cheek. I drank all the Pepsi, was chewing the ice because I was hungry. And the person said, you're in a crisis, aren't you? I said, oh, my mom, my roommate moved. She took my stuff. I've got $50 to my name and a suitcase. And he said, listen, I can't let you sit on a park bench. I have a safe place where you can stay. And I said, I'm not going to stay with some stranger I do not know. So he said, here's my business card. I'm a real estate agent. Call your family, call your friends, let them know you're going to be at this address and you're going to be okay. And so I did. 3 days I stayed there and I prayed and I prayed, and then it clicked. I know what I need to do. And I figured it out. And so I re-enlisted in the military, saved my money. The second time I got out, I had a blueprint. Follow me. I had a plan. I went to college. I had money. I got my own place to stay. And so part of the training that I do in my coaching is, number one, know what you love to do. Number two, work whatever you're passionate about. And number three, make sure you have a blueprint with strategies and activities that you monitor to make sure you do what you say you're going to do. So you see how I took that negative situation and made it a positive? How I
Yes.
took that and made the lesson learned a positive lesson? So listen, that was back in 1981, but I can tell you, I went from being homeless to owning two homes. I went to having no car to having twin Mercedes Benz in my garage.
Wow.
It wasn't easy, but I'm going to tell you something. Once I started living in my purpose and serving others, I became successful, fulfilled, prosperous, and have inner peace. It's not about me, it's about serving other people. Once I opened that door, oh my gosh, I went once again from 3 books to 19, 15 now bestsellers. I'm actually doing really well. It makes me feel good to know that I'm helping other people. One more short story. Like I said, it wasn't easy. So when I was in college, I had a stalker, and the stalker attacked me, right? So I had to go into a shelter for battered women. I'm like, God, I don't drink, I don't smoke. Why is this happening to
All
me?
these things and just
Yes,
following
right?
the app.
Yeah, but guess what? There was a little girl in that shelter that found me 40 years later. She found me last year. She says, Are you Theresa Moseley? Were you in the shelter for battered women in Atlanta in 1984? I was a little girl that you took to the mall. You took me shopping. You were the only one there. You were a veteran. You had a job. You were in college. And you were the only one in that situation. You didn't have a husband or a boyfriend beating you up. You had a stalker. But what I learned from you is that we don't have to stay in a situation. You actually helped my mother. And then it all came together. Oh my gosh. Like that, I changed that girl's life. I helped her mother change her life, right? And what if I wasn't in that shelter? What would have happened to her? And so she remembered me and she found me on social media. So the lesson I learned is even though some things might be horrible that are happening to you, there are lessons to be learned and there's stories that can be shared with the world so that they know that you don't have to stay in an abusive relationship. You can get out. You can go to school. In fact, if you have 2 or 3 kids and you're poor, you probably can go to school for free. You probably qualify for every grant known to man. So I spent those 30 days helping those women develop plans to get out of their situation. Oh, but God. Thank you,
So you
Jesus.
talk about being in your blood. That is in your blood. And I'm getting chills because I'm
I
like,
was 25. I'm a certified counselor now. I wasn't certified then. But you're right, it's in my DNA. It's in my blood to help people and to serve people. Yes.
that I thank you for sharing that because that poured into me. And it kind of took me back to where I was in my life at some point. And the blessing it is for someone to be sent to you by God to be that
Yeah.
peace for you, to be that refuge for you. And I experienced that. And hmm, that's what you did for that young girl and how she remembered that your name.
Yes.
I remember something like that happening to me. And when you see them again or you even hear their name again, what that does.
Yes.
And you just took me back to an incident that I did have and someone believed in me
Mm-hmm.
and did not give up on me. When I first went into the military, I was said that I was timid
Oh.
and I would be hurt a lot because of the way I was. I was so giving and so caring. And that happened to me. And I just didn't feel like that I could go on. But
Well,
then someone poured into me. I mean, I literally just didn't feel like I could go on. And here I am now doing, you know, things I never thought I was going to do. If I had given up at that point, I would have never, been sitting here. No matter how small beginnings are, I never would have been sitting here. So just being there and having your steps ordered, sometimes you wonder why I have to go through so much to get there, but your steps are ordered.
I want your listeners to know that you are in control of your life, nobody else. Your assignment is within you. You were born with a gift that is meant to be shared with the world. There's this Japanese philosophy around purpose, and it says if there's something that the world needs and you're good at it, then that's your mission in life. If you really love to do something, that's your passion. But if the world needs it and you really love to do it and you are fortunate enough to do that from 9 to 5 or 7 to 8 as a job and get paid and you love it, that is your purpose. That is your divine assignment. That is where you will find success, fulfillment, prosperity, and inner peace. Matthew 5 says, "Ye the light of the world, let your light so shine that all may see your good work." Everybody has a light inside of them. But sometimes people try to dim your light. You don't allow. My daddy told me, he said, "Listen, Risa," he said, "there is no glass ceiling for you. Okay? You
That's
can do anything you want to
yeah,
do when you put your mind to it." My
that's
father told me that. So, yes, I am successful. Yes, I am fulfilled. I am prosperous and I have inner peace. And I share with my clients, I share with my schools, I share with the organizations that you can have inner peace too. Just imagine if everybody lived in their purpose, there would be no robberies because you're
right.
going to be successful and fulfilled. If everybody lived in their purpose, there would be no war because you'd have inner peace. You'd have love, not hate. I'm on to something here.
Yeah,
I'm starting to preach, but
that's
that's
okay.
but what I'm saying is, don't allow listeners, anyone to say you can't, or you're not good enough, or you too short. No, whatever it is that you were meant to be, it is inside of you, and it's up to you. And sometimes you might need a coach. And guess what? Brick walls will be put in front of you, but brick walls were meant to be knocked down. And sometimes when you have brick walls, there's a person there to help you knock those brick walls down.
So on that note, while we are right there with your coaching program, can you tell us about your coaching program? Because I know it's dynamic. Because I got chills, and
Yes,
I'm up here like every coach needs a coach anyway. So always remember that, people. I don't care how successful you are. If you need support, get you a coach who's sensitive to your needs. So, would you let us know about your coaching program, please?
first thing I do is I help them discover what their gift is. And I share stories about Walt Disney, about Barry Gordy, about people that love to do things when they were a child and how when they grew up, how they fulfilled their destiny by doing the things that they love to do. Help them discover their gift. Then I help them discover what they're passionate about around that gift. That's step number two. Number three, I help them develop a blueprint for whatever. It could be owning a business, it could be being an author, it could be being a preacher, whatever that is that we discover is your divine assignment. There's a blueprint that you need to write with short-term goals and long-term goals. Now, I'm not there for therapy. I'm not going to help you get past your childhood trauma. That's another coach. But I am the coach that's going to help you. You have to deal with that first. I might tell you need to go see somebody to get rid of that first. Then come to me and let me help you be the best version of you. So once we build that blueprint, then I show you how to network. I show you how to hold yourself accountable. I hold myself accountable every Sunday after church. I get out my little binder and or my iPad, and I said, okay, what goals did I set for myself last week? And which ones did I complete? Most of the time I complete them all because I'm really good with organization. But if I didn't complete something, I ask myself why. Now everybody knows, well, they don't know, but I had a lot of loss the last couple of
Yeah.
months. And I could have very easily not done my speech in London, not did my book launch, not, canceled some podcasts, but I kept every commitment, even though I was grieving my brother's death. I kept every commitment that I had. So on Sundays, I'm normally at 100%. I might be at 95, but that's because maybe I couldn't talk. I'm just really getting over this chest thing. So I show them how to be accountable, how to monitor their progress. And the most important thing is networking with like minds, networking with people that are going to lift you up, that are not going to knock you down. If you're having somebody say, oh, no, you can't do that. I think you should be doing this. They're not the person for you. Okay. Whatever it is that you were meant to be or do, someone else is already doing it. And you need to find that person that is willing to support you and to helping you achieve your goal. So it's a 5-step process that I do in about 8 weeks. And I can share this. I have the gift of discernment. So when I meet people and I talk to them, it only takes me about 15 minutes to figure it out. And I got to tell you another short story. So, as a high school principal, they used to send me kids, allegedly bad kids. I don't think there's anything as a bad kid. Kids go through some things and they get in trouble. And this kid was about 6'3", African American male, sitting with his mom, and they were coming to me because they couldn't go back to their home school. I said, "You've been locked up for 18 months. Do you have your transcript?" He said, "No, ma'am." I said, "Do you know what grade you're in?" He said, "No, ma'am." And he put his head down like he was like so sad. And I said, "Can you tell me what you're feeling?" And he said, "I don't know what I'm feeling." And I looked at his mom. I'm like, I said, "Let me change this around." I said, "Tell me what you like to do." And he stood up and he stepped, and I looked up and he was about 6'3". He said, "I like to draw." I said, "Oh, you're an artist?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "Here's a piece of paper. Can you draw me what you're feeling?" He drew a broken heart with tears in it. I said, "Mom, that broken heart is your son." He said, "How did you know?" I said, "I have the gift of discernment. But tell your mother what all those tears mean." Tear for not getting art supplies when he was 3 years old and 4 and 5. Tears for being blamed for something that he didn't do because he was tall and the big one. Tears for this, tears for that. And I said, "Oh my goodness." I said, "Son, this is your key to generational wealth. This is a key for leaving a legacy for your family and leaving a legacy for you. You are a brilliant artist. You need to own your own studio. In fact, buy the studio and get an apartment upstairs, and you paint and draw all day. Before you
Yes.
leave here, you will have an art kit." Now, unfortunately,
Wow.
I accepted him at my school because he wasn't ready and he didn't know what grade. I sent him to an alternative school. But you see how it only took me 15 minutes to
Figure
figure
it out.
out what he's got? And he lit up like a Christmas tree. No one had ever told him that it's okay to be 6'3" and black and not play basketball. You're an
Exactly.
artist and you're a good artist, right?
Exactly.
I know things. I know things. And so when people connect with me, I connect with their spirit. I don't want to scare anybody, but I just kind of know. I know the good, the bad, and the ugly. One time a girl sat next to me. She was in trouble. She couldn't go back to her school. And I asked her name, and she goes, "I'm not going to tell you my MF name." Her father was there. He said her name. I said, "Could you step outside, sir?" He said, "You don't want to be alone with her. She hit a cop." I said, "Step outside. She's not hitting me." He stepped outside and I sat next to her, got right in her face, and I said, "Who hurt you?" My father too. I said, "No, I know somebody hurt you." And she says, "How do you know?" I said, "Because hurt people know hurt people." I'm not going to tell you her story, but it took me 15 minutes to figure it out.
And she
So,
was so defensive, which is a strong sign of protecting yourself and your feelings. She was
yeah.
so defensive.
Well, that's what I do. I help people. I help people maximize their potential. Students, academically, socially, and emotionally. Adults, to help them find their self, their passion, their purpose, so that they can be successful and fulfilled. Just being successful. Think about all the millionaires that commit suicide. Just being successful
Yeah,
is not going to make you happy. You have to have inner peace and you have to be fulfilled in order to be
that's
happy.
what you were saying about making sure that you're good before you start doing that, because you want your foundation to be solid. You don't
Exactly.
want to build on sinking sand because it's not going to last. So we got to make sure that we're good. So never underestimate getting the help that you need so that you get a fair playing field. You want to be
Yes.
good. There's nothing
Yes.
wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. What's the name of your coaching program?
Oh, it's just Dr. Teresa's coaching program.
Let's get
Passion, purpose, peace.
wait a
Passion,
second.
purpose, peace.
So I want to put that. That's you, right? Creating
Yes. They
ambassadors of
they can log
peace.
in here and schedule a 30
Yes.
minute meeting with me to talk about what their needs are.
So it's on there. It's right there. Do that. I don't care if you call, and I'm sure that you're gonna feel like I'm feeling. You're gonna feel like you feel looking at this. You're gonna feel empowered just listening to this. Because I feel like, wow, a lot of times coaches are and they're I'm not saying all coaches, and I'm not trying to throw us
Yeah.
coaches in the water. They're concerned about growing, building income. They're not really concerned about saying to someone, "You're not ready. Let's get this together first so that you can be successful." That's when you know someone has a heart for what they do, that this is really for real, for real, for real for them. because they're concerned about the person. They're concerned truly about helping people get to the next level.
Mhm.
If I got, like you said, if I got a Mercedes in the garage,
Mhm.
you can have a Mercedes in the garage too. Let me show you how.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all want to be successful. Let me show you how to get there. So thank you for sharing it.
You're
And
welcome.
before we go, I really want to talk about this new blessing that you just dropped. And I know that you're a principal, and I read a little bit about that, and just the leadership. Can you share with?
Yes, I just finished or launched the Essential Soft Skills for Effective Leadership Steps to Leading with Grace. It is an Amazon bestseller. I have 21 experts to talk about empathy, integrity, organization, problem solving, time management, emotional intelligence, communication, collaboration, and adaptability. This is a must read for anyone leading anybody, including parents leading your house. Okay? Organizations, CEOs, schools. This book has action steps. It has a place for reflections. It has tips and strategies to implement or to gain these soft skills. And let me tell you, this book also was a divine assignment. When I was in Orlando last year for actually induction in the United Nations Peace Ambassador Program, I met a man at a restaurant that said, I do sales and I sell hospital beds and I'm really good with hard skills, but I need someone to teach soft skills. And I said, I'm an international motivational speaker and I could probably teach soft skills, but if I'm going to help your company, then I need to write the book. And he said, oh, do that. So I gave him my card. And while I'm eating, he's going to my website and he says, you're the real deal. I really need you to come in. And I said, you know what? Let me write the book, right? That was like last May. Last October, I'm in the middle of a lake in Geneva, Switzerland. And this man comes up to me and he says, your face looks so familiar. I said, oh, you know me from social media. He said, no, 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 I'm not on social media, but I know your face. And he said, what's your name? I said, Dr. Moseley. He says, are you Dr. Theresa Moseley? I said, yes. He says, I met a man in Atlanta, in Orlando, that said you're going to teach him soft skills. And I said, "Oh my goodness! I am 5,000 miles away or more from Orlando, and
That,
this. I needed to write this book, and that was
yes.
last October. It launched on my dad's 104th birthday. It's a wonderful book. It's selling like hotcakes. You can also get this book on my website. Creating a I have a bookstore and an apparel store. I have all kinds of
Yes. And
messages.
I've seen the apparel, and it's about love, and I love the logo. I'm just go and see. I love that, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of that '60s feel. Some of the I like that. I really like that, and I love the creativity of it too, and it really reflects love. And with the soft skills, what I will say is that your chapter, the way that he was, I'm not going to tell the story. The story, you have to read the story, but it was showing a level of, not only was it showing a level of love, but it also empowered the individual to look at the story themselves, to look at the situation themselves. So not only did you write that particular story to help that person, but they were empowered because they had took ownership of it.
Yeah.
So, and leadership is very important. So,
Yes.
leadership is leading others, and so that they may lead. So that's kind of what I was getting from the story and what I was seeing in the book. But like you said, it's amazing, amazing authors in that book. Doctors, doctor this, doctor that, whoever, they are in there and they bring in expertise. You put that doctor before the name. That's the highest form of education and honor. They put in the work. They're in that book. They have set the tone for us to really read that book. I got it. I'm excited about it. A beautiful anthology. We are also in another anthology together, and this is an anthology that has been life changing for us, for me, and I know it's been life changing for you and all the authors. And that's coming out soon. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that, or
The
you can stay.
beautiful face of the
Yeah.
invisible illness. I talk about my living with type 2 diabetes and give excellent steps on what you can do to live with type 2 diabetes. And you can also go into remission as well.
So
So,
if you want to know about all her books, it's on her website. It is a list. And she, like you say, she is a 15, you said 15?
15-time best-selling author. I have 19.
15-time bestseller. So we're not talking about, this is the real deal. If you want to make a change in your business, and you want to make a change in the direction that you're going to in entrepreneurship, in mindset, if you want to make the change in leadership, this is a one-stop shop. I mean, she has poured into others. She has so much to pour into us. Look at this website, and I'm going to have that available as well, with a little bit of your bio, so that others can see. I want them to really take heed, and I pray that this podcast has been a blessing to the hearers, and I hope it's been a blessing to you, because it's been a huge blessing to me.
Anytime I get a chance to share my platform on peace, I thank you for affording me this opportunity. I have a book, 16 Steps to Creating Ambassadors of Peace. I I just want to share real quick.
Yes.
There's a creed in the back that I wrote, and anyone that's listening, I just want to share this with you. It won't take me long.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Cultivate peace by caring. Communicate rather than retaliate. Actively listen, then speak. Think before you react. Respect one another. Show compassion for others. Have empathy for others. Realize your full potential and make a difference in the world. Forgive those that wrong you. Spend time with people who celebrate you. Teach your family to be peaceful. Encourage your friends to be kind and nonviolent. Attack the problem, not the person. Love your community and serve them well. Protest peacefully for justice. Find your gift, know your passion, and live in your purpose. Thank you, Millicent, for having
Thank
me
you
today.
so much. I mean, wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Moseley. And again, Her Excellence, Dr. Moseley. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.